right there.
We're finally answering questions about the home birth and water birth that we had. A lot of factors in that we had 2 hospital births prior.
Yep. Neither of them were pleasant, I guess would be the best adjective to describe.
Yeah, both experiences, well, our first experience was the worst. I don't even know how we gave that one a second shot. But I guess you're just not informed in this country. You really...
The doctors aren't going to tell you for sure. You need to find the answers yourself, or you need to look for yourself. Otherwise, it's not going to come to you unless you have a really good friend.
Yeah, I feel like birth in this country is just such a scary notion. Everything from the movies you watch, TV shows, stories you hear from everyone else, you're just mentally prepared for it to be this really scary experience. And so you don't think twice about it, you have a birth in a hospital. But more and more women are starting to take on their own births at home. So it was worth looking into for us, because every hospital birth story you hear is like a mini horror story. Like, I don't think I've ever really heard of
somebody saying it was amazing.
An amazing hospital experience. So we looked into home births in Nevada, and we found a really great company out this way. And, regardless whether you have the baby at home or whether you have the baby in a hospital, the burden is going to be on you. Those things you sign off at the hospital are so ironclad that there's almost no way you can go back and sue a hospital if something terrible happens to you or your baby. So going in with that as well, we're like, well, we might as well be in the comfort of our own home. Midwives, pretty much they come with everything. They do everything at the house that can be done in a hospital besides a C-section and an epidural. But everything else that they come in here with, right? She came in here with like a suitcase.
Yeah, she was fully prepared, well equipped.
So what made it be water?
Well, we heard that being in the warm water, the buoyancy helps with the birth as well. It takes some of the pain off, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Not all the pain, but a lot of the pain was going to be taken away. You could be a little bit more relaxed, and so that's why we chose the water birth part. Here's the birth story. So around midnight the night before, or no, was it midnight?
Yeah, I had a feeling too. I was like, we're going to bed so late and she's gonna have birth. I never told you that, but I was just, I don't know why I was thinking that night. I was like, it's so late, we should have went to bed earlier.
Yeah, because up until this night, I mean, we had the month before we gave birth, we pretty much had that month to ourselves. I mean, my kids were spending the summer with their grandparents, but baby decided not to come. And then about a day before we gave birth, my kids arrived with my parents. So I said, okay, you know, Enzo, our son, he wants everyone to be here when he arrives. So anyway, the night before, I was just figuring, you know, I haven't seen my kids all summer, and there was a magic show an hour and a half outside of town. So my cousin and I, we were able to get tickets to the show. My daughter and son love this magician, so we went to Laughlin, and that night was like raining. There was like a thunderstorm on the way home. We got home so late. By the time I got the kids to bed, it was midnight. And I don't know, I guess I was hoping, I hope it's not tonight because I want to get some sleep. I was so tired. Of course, I get up around 3:50 a.m. and I get up and I get that, I'm like, I think I need to use the bathroom. So I go try to use the bathroom, get back into bed. It's close to 3:55 now, and it's painful again. It's painful, and I know that I don't need to use the bathroom in that way. So I start kind of like rolling around on the bed, and I start looking at the time saying I'm gonna start clocking these. And within another 5-6 minutes, just a gush comes out of me, a gush of water. And at this point, I'm like waking him up. Jeff, my water just broke, and we have a Tempur-Pedic bed, so I didn't want to we have the protector.
Yeah. No.
But I still was like, oh, here we go. So I'm like slowly rolling off the bed, rolling onto the floor. Water is just everywhere. My husband runs, grabs towels, and we slowly move into the bathroom.
Side note, make sure you have lots of towels because we almost ran out and we have a pretty decent amount of towels.
We have a lot of towels. So the week before giving birth, Jeff went to one appointment with this new midwife and he inquired about
anything I could do to help Talia through some of the pain. Yeah. Obviously, because you know we're not going to be in a hospital, there's no epidural, this is all natural, so anything that I could do to ease. And she taught me one thing
that helped the whole thing.
Yeah, and it was essentially pressure on the hips.
Yes.
And you know you're pretty much squeezing the hips, putting a lot of pressure on there, and it takes some of the I guess pain away from, or no, maybe not so much pain, but it maybe moves your thinking about the pressure I'm applying to the hips versus what's actually going on.
Well, all of the videos that we would watch online prior to this were, you know, graphic home birth type videos, and we just weren't, I don't know, we weren't into that because I just didn't want to psych myself out. But then we started looking up massage techniques, and even those weren't really, they were doing like figure 8 stuff on the back, and I just said, I don't see how this is going to help me during labor. Yeah. So at this one visit my husband went to, thank God he went to this, Tiffany, our midwife, actually showed him. So I stood up and she showed him where to push at my hips, because if you're pushing at this spot on the hips, apparently it's helping your cervix.
Yeah, it kind of opens up. So if you're pressing here, it'd be pushing
to open
here,
up
and
there.
then it would open up down this way.
So when you're going through these contractions, you're only feeling the pain for about 60 to 90 seconds in between all of this. So that was the most fascinating part to me, was how I would jump from just being normal, talking the way I'm talking, to not being able to talk or move or do anything for that 60 to 90 seconds. And having Jeff there to do that and push and put that pressure on me there was great. I feel like at half the time my mind was on I was focusing more on the pressure that Jeff was putting versus the pain. So huge relief. But you know, by around 4:30 that morning, I called for the birth tub. So that's good to know with the birth tub. It could take them about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get there and set up everything. So there's a risk there if sometimes they don't make it. And I've heard a lot of stories where they just don't make it and women survive. They have the babies just fine anyway. But the midwife did eventually come as well, before 7 a.m.?
Yes.
And by around a little bit before 8 a.m., I was getting into the tub. And before getting into the tub, she checks me and lets me know that I had already made it to 7 cm, which is crazy. In the kind of pain I was experiencing, I just figured, oh, maybe I'm only at 4 by now. But I was already at 7, and that was the one time I wanted to be checked. They're able to get you out of the tub as many times as you want. But in the meantime, while being in the tub, every time I would feel a contraction again, Jeff would be right there. And I think Jeff was there for about 95% of all of those contractions. The few times that he had to run downstairs or be with the kids, or get water, or get anything else, more towels, the doula and the midwife were able to assist with those contractions. So that was...
What a workout.
It was such a workout. I would go from being in full-on pain, you know, to just normal and talking. And next thing you know, around 10:30 in the morning, the pain just got, I feel, tripled. I didn't even know how far along I was. I must have already been pretty close to 10 at that point, but I started feeling that push urge and that ring of fire sensation where it was too much. And so the midwife looked at me and she said, whatever you're doing, you need to really push now from your gut. You need to just follow your body. And so I knew, okay, close the doors, because our kids were downstairs. I didn't want them to hear what I felt like I needed to do. So as soon as Jeff closed those doors, it was 2 pushes, and
intense
he was
pushes,
out.
yeah.
2 really intense pushes, and he was out.
Keep going. 10, 15. The head is down, Mama.
I can't push. Please.
10, 15. Push, Charlie. Push. Push. There he is. Hold your baby. Hold on. Can you?
The oxytocin that comes over you, this like, that comes over your body after you give birth, it's so hard to explain. I just couldn't believe the difference. I mean, having no medication versus being medicated in the hospital, the epidural, I was up and about within a couple hours.
Which to me was insane, because obviously the 2 prior births in the hospital, all plugged up and wires and everything going to Talia, you know, she was in the bed, like she couldn't do anything. And I was kind of freaked out. I didn't think she should be up moving around, but she was fine. Well, I mean, obviously not fine, but compared to the previous birth, she was just like leaps and bounds